Hey everybody, Mr. Bookyboo here with the first video of the new year. Now, if you remember at the end of last year, I was really struggling with what to do in the corner of my layout, and I was kind of getting really frustrated. I didn't know quite what to do, but I had a few ideas, had a few ahas, and I'm going to show you in just a minute what I've been up to. Now, Bricksburg is never going to be the same because it is radically changing. So let's get in there and I'll show you what's going on. All right, so let's just jump right into the good stuff. My frustrations was with the corner of my layout. I didn't quite know what to do, if you remember. I was really uncertain. I was struggling. I was like, oh, am I going to do marina? Am I going to do a wasteland? Am I going to do I don't know what? Well, I've been working on that. And if you follow on Instagram, you'll kind of already see the previews. So if you look all the way down there, we have the makings of some mountains. And not just regular old mountains like the old Ninjago mountain, which you see right over there. We got some big old mountains going into the corner there, which I think I'm pretty happy with how that's turning out. So let's zip on down there and we'll talk about that first, because this is kind of the whole crux of the layout, and this is kind of actually like where everything is kind of like the new centerpiece, and everything is going to kind of flow from here outward. So this corner, so my thought was, like when I first walk into my room, you see the modulars and you kind of see some of the stuff I have there, and it's kind of cool. And then as you're drawn into this room, because it's a long skinny room as you just saw, as you're drawn into it, you kind of like feel like it kind of gets less like, whatever. As you get to this corner, in the past it was like, it kind of fizzled. So my idea instead, this is more conceptual type stuff, but it's still pretty, I find this stuff really interesting. This is what I spent a lot of time like designing and planning and trying to figure out the best way to get things set up, was that as you come in, if it's not quite as, it's still impressive as you walk in, but as you get further in, your eyes are drawn further and further, and there's something huge back here to really draw your attention. It's going to be like, wow, that's really cool, right? So that's where I started thinking, well, let's do the mountains. And let's also give my city a little bit more depth. So if you remember, my city is really long and narrow. I have one street that runs through the city because I have a very narrow room. This room's only about 8 feet wide, slightly more than 8 feet wide. So I don't really have a lot of room. So I can't do a lot of like city stuff in the middle. I can't do a lot of like roads. Like a lot of layouts I like, they have, multiple roads and there's modulars all, and it's all kind of like in a big square in the middle of the room. I can't really do that because I can't get around it easily. So I had to go along the walls. And that was kind of like how I did it differently because of the limited space that I have. So this setup, as you see, so now my roads, I have a little more depth because my road's just not straight, but it turns here around the bend, and then it turns here, and then it goes into this tunnel which I've made, which I'm actually going to have to rebuild. And I'm going to explain that in a minute too, because this is actually a pretty exciting thing that I figured out, and it's actually a good tip to keep in mind when you're building your city, especially if you have limited space. But anyways, with the road, so the road goes in here, and actually what I thought I might even do is I might even have the road pop out down here somewhere as a continuation, as like the road like sneaks through the mountain, and then it works its way around down into Ninjago land, which is actually kind of lower now than the main part of the city over here. But we'll see. I don't know. We'll kind of see. We'll see how that kind of shapes up. But so once I kind of conceptualized this corner though, and thought, hey, well, why don't I do some big mountains? And that's kind of what you see I'm working on here. And then with the road, and then everything else just started kind of falling into place. I really like the brick bank right on the corner. I don't know why, it just kind of really works for me. Now, the thing I want to point out though, while I'm also in this corner, before I kind of move on to the rest of the layout, so what I did, because of the limited space, so these are like standard, these are the IKEA tables that I use down here. These are 3 base plates deep. This table is a little bit narrower. It's the smaller IKEA table. I forget the names of these tables. What they're like, Lindman, I think, Lindman. This is the smaller one. So this one's like 2 base plates and like 10 studs deep. Much shorter, but it's still, it works in this space. I had to condense it. But if you notice, if you look really closely, you see the trick I did. So what I did is I actually pulled the table off the wall. It's actually about 6 studs off the wall. So what did that enable me to do? Basically, I got two and a half base plates now here, which enabled me to fit 2 base plates here for the depth of the road, so I could actually have the road make the turn. And instead of 10 studs for the mountain, which actually this mountain is 10 studs deep, the new bigger mountain
is 16 studs deep, which gave me a lot more vertical elevation, so I could go a lot steeper and a lot taller with the mountain. And so, I mean, this isn't even done yet. I ran out of burps. I have more coming in the mail. But basically, my plan is to keep going up the slope here, all the way up to somewhere up in here. So it's going to be a pretty massive mountain, and it's really going to like kind of frame this part of the wall and make the layout really pop, I think, once I get that completely built. I will have to rebuild this mountain because it's only, like I said, it's only 10 studs deep, and it actually sits off the wall, so it looks funny. So you can see the shadow right there of it. So I'm going to rebuild this. I'm actually going to rework the tunnel portal as well. I've gotten some good feedback from several of you online about this area and what I've been kind of working on. I'm going to make the tunnel portal a little bit smaller so that more of the mountain shows up, especially on the side here. And then I'm just kind of working on the modular placements now. So basically what I have to do is, this is actually interesting. So I have this weird little corner where the curve is. And so what I'm thinking is I'm going to do an inverted corner modular. So instead of a typical corner like Brickbank or Palace Cinema or something, it's an inverted. So if you look at it, and let's see if I can get a better angle on it. So you'll see how it's built so that the walls, well, it's inverted. So it's like, what is that, concave? Yeah, it's concave, right? Yeah, concave instead of like a convex building or just an angular pointy building like that. So I'm going to try to do some kind of like smaller modular there. My depth here is still a little problematic, and so I'm going to try to I want to expand this, the corner deli. I want to actually make it bigger and more in line with the rest of the modulars in terms of like size. So it's going to get a little bit taller. I might add a third floor. Might add a little more detail to kind of make it bigger and stand out more. And then as I move along, everything else is going to kind of flow into place. So what's going to happen to the rest of the city? You're probably wondering. You're like, well, geez, you got all this space here now. And I have all this. This is just a mess. But it's because I've been tearing everything apart. Oh, look. This one I was actually going to point out. So I finally found a new place for Ghostbusters. I did the same thing I did with the tables in the back corner as the tables here in the main part of the tables. So I actually pulled them off the wall an inch, which gave me just enough room to fit Ghostbusters going this way as opposed to having it long ways like I had before. And so I think finally it's going to be somewhere in the window frame here, and somewhere like it's going to kind of blend with the facades behind it, and this is going to be like the new downtown district. And so I'm going to have a lot of the like more more urban-y buildings as opposed to the more rural type buildings. The rural ones like these guys over here are going to end up being over by the mountainside probably. So it kind of gives you I'm kind of like more like a Swiss Alps kind of feel, or like a German mountain kind of town. And then the more Americanized version buildings like the Palace Cinema, the diner, like the detective's office, those things are going to stay more over in this part of town, which will be the new downtown. And then of course we'll have a little bit of room for some additional modulars and stuff. Now, what's going to end up happening probably is the main part of the layout is actually going to go and get I kicked the Lego all over the floor right now. You should see the rest of the room. It's just a disaster. What's going to happen with this area is this is actually going to get probably pushed down, and it's going to leave this space. I think I'm going to do some type of water feature, like a small marina, some kind of maybe a small little beach scene, something like that in this area. And then the height's going to it's going to be low, and then the height's going to pick up, and then it's going to go further and further back, and then you're going to get to like the downtown, and then you're going to get into the more of the mountainous area over here as well. And so I think that might be a good plan going forward. Now, I know you're going to say, man, Mr. Bookie, but you didn't even finish the old layout, and you're already like redesigning it and tearing it apart and doing all this other crazy stuff. Well, that's part of the fun, right? At least for me, that's part of the fun. Let's show you over here real quick. So Ninjago Land, still working on Ninjago Land. It's still coming along. I've been buying 1x2 trans light blue tiles like crazy. And so now I've got, this area was done previously. Working on the area by Destiny's Bounty, so I'm tiling that area now. I want to kind of do something so that the wall doesn't quite show as much here. I'm thinking of maybe doing kind of like a city wall kind of thing, and actually basing it off of the Temple of the Ultimate Weapon, the same kind of style with the gray and the blue. So do that kind of on top of the rocks here, like a big, like a I'm thinking like, like kind of like the Great Wall of China, kind of like something like that, like a city wall kind of thing. Doing something like that there. I'm still happy with the train platform in the front here. This turned out pretty cool. I've tiled most of this now, so I got most of that done. I did this tiny little archway kind of going in, so you can actually get into the city from here. You can get into it walking this way. You can get to the dock area, but then I didn't really have an easy way to get over to the main part of the city. So then I created this little archway and another bridge that's basically modeled off the bridge of Ninjago City. That kind of goes and takes you over that way. So we have that. And then I'm still experimenting here with, I have the Temple of the Ultimate Weapon sitting here. I raised it up. I'm kind of like digging how it looks here, because it adds a little bit of depth, and it is kind of like an old temple in the middle of the city kind of thing. I'm working on like making a little bit of stairs. I don't know, I'm still experimenting. I might raise it up a little bit higher. I might decide to move it. I don't know. We'll see. But for now, it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of cool, because it's kind of like tucked away in the corner. So it kind of gives you that feel like it's an old, like an old Shaolin temple kind of hidden in the city kind of thing. Although most of the temples are up in the mountains in the middle of nowhere, right? But hey, a little creative license never hurt anybody. This area, so initially I had, and you've probably seen some of the pictures and stuff, so this was my original mountain that I built for the original Ninjago City, which was a while back, and it was in this corner here. Well, I had that, and I was experimenting with putting that back there, and then I had the whole idea for the other mountains over here. So I kind of like said, I put that on hold, so we're going to see. I still may do that, because I do like the idea of having the big mountain behind the pagoda, and then having something in the front area here. You can see the remains of the marina with the boats and stuff, with like a little waterfall and some other features. But I might raise this up a little bit more, and make it a little more imposing, so that it actually meets up with the other mountains, which are now over here. Now, actually from this angle, you can also see what I've done. So on the sides here, so I have kind of this slopes going down, finishes off the city really nicely. It makes it, it just kind of works, I think, with that kind of finishing it off. The frontage here, this will all be like this kind of a wall design, just to finish that off, but I can still take it out. So if I need to get access to the trains which run underneath, I can do that. The trains, I simplified it. So there's just one track coming out here from a portal. That's going to, again, connect. It may just go here into the station at Ninjago Land. I may not even do a return loop. I don't know, because most of my trains are double-ended, so it doesn't really matter. And again, just kind of maybe simplifying it and laying off the trains a little bit, even though I do love the trains. Just kind of, making it so that it's a little, I don't know, works a little simpler. But that's kind of where we're at. It's been fun. Like I said, this was really a struggle trying to figure this out. But then once I did those tricks with the spacing, with the tables, pulling them off the wall, and keep that in mind. So if you have a small space, and just, it's just an inch is all you really need. Just a little 1 inch off the wall. It opens up a whole bunch of possibilities for you to do, maybe some things you didn't think of. Even here, moving that here allowed me to get Ghostbusters back in place. Right, I didn't know what to do with it. I had no idea. I was like, what am I going to do? But just that 1 inch was all I needed to be able to get that going the correct way. That so it was like facing with like the other modulars face. And now it's like, hey, that's cool. It's there. It fits. And I'm excited about it again, to have it, in the city, and it just kind of works, I think. So, having said that, I will be posting a lot more updates on Instagram over the coming weeks as I design more of this new and exciting part of town. And let me know what you guys think. You think this is good? You like where the direction where this is going? You like the mountainous train in the background with the tunnel and with the other stuff? I think it's going to be pretty cool. I think I might be onto something here. So thanks for all your support, and thanks for all your ideas. You guys have been wonderful, giving me suggestions and telling me, hey, how about this, how about that. I've got a lot of comments, a lot of messages from you guys. It's all really helpful, and I appreciate it so much, because it really, makes me look at things in ways I didn't think about it. And like I said, feel like I'm back on track now, and I'm really excited to get going and see what the new year brings for Bricksburg. So thanks for watching. I will be back soon with a new and hopefully more progress in an update.